All right, guys. Vinland Saga Season 2, Episode 8. And here we are. I'm going to say it. It's the best I've ever seen. Oh, my God. It was the greatest. There was happy wheat, sad wheat, bearded people just fighting. And anyway, now that was just... And that's it. Nutshell. Done. Oh, we were reaching that peak, my friend. I thought something was going to happen. I was like, oh, fuck that. They're getting their wheat. They're going to get some vengeance for these little green guys. And we got there.
Let me tell you. So, okay, not quite how you said, but one of the things I love most about shows, anime in particular really, is when you can take the story and the way it's presented and relate it to your own life and maybe things to like help you achieve things or overcome things.
Okay.
I believe that the way they are telling Thorfinn's story, how he is coming out of the pit of misery and despair, borderline suicide, by the end of season 2, I believe you will be able to take his story and use it as a blueprint for your own personal self-growth in something you might be lacking in or something of trauma you have in the past, because the way that they are telling this story is masterful. This episode was the best of the season. It was almost...
I knew it. I felt it.
No, it was almost perfect. I almost like am trying to find something negative to say about it, but when Thorfinn punched that motherfucker in the face...
Oh, so you finally loved the action that we got,
the couch
finally?
And, like, screamed, broke the shit out of his jaw. Like,
he was messed up.
Oh, my God. And the relationship between Thorfinn and Einar is growing, and I'm at the point where if something happens to Einar, I'm probably going to riot.
Oh,
Like,
no. And I think that's why, like, you saw Thorfinn step up. Because Einar's not going to do any... Like, he doesn't have that...
He was holding his own in that fight. He was throwing some haymakers.
I was waiting for him to, like... Because obviously knew it was going to turn... You know, numbers alone were just the difference.
The reason why
And shovels.
Thorfinn stood up and did it instead was because he knows that they were going to be punished if that happened. He wanted to be the one to take the punishment.
Oh, I think
because
they can
he
wiggle
feels
out of it.
so guilty. He told Einar, I don't have a right to be mad about what they did to our crops.
You do.
I've done this to several
I didn't like that.
hundreds of people.
Nope. I didn't like
And
that thought. Because he didn't... It wasn't that. He was a brainwashed child that kind of was doing what Askeladd told him to do.
And as a man, he's taking accountability for his actions.
Yeah, but someone destroyed your shit.
Yeah, no, and that's why he punched
Go
the
get it
motherfucker in the
back.
face. Yeah, that was part of the reason why he broke the dude's jaw.
I get it. They did the right thing first. They went and got the help, the guy who was actually brought up the same way in which they were.
Yeah.
Which I appreciated. And like,
So the episode opened up, it was pretty crazy because Thorfinn seemed to be crawling out of like a cavern.
Yeah, like some
something
kind of
he was
pit,
falling
yeah.
in. And I believe it's almost like a metaphor for if he falls, it's going into the pit of misery and death, ultimately
Okay.
death, where his soul will die.
and things were picking his fingers off. He was seeing his dad. He was
Yes.
seeing Askeladd, big figures in his life.
And climbing up represents his growth as a person and
Okay.
how he's learning these new things about farm hands,
putting a
about
roof
how to
on.
build a roof on
Yeah.
a house. And it's just like an amazing slow burn of someone finding themselves after they had their entire childhood robbed from them. And the only thing they've known is violence and pain and suffering and what's left after that. I thought this episode had the most ties to season 1 of any episode in season 2.
I think it did.
We actually had Thorfinn talk to Einar about everything that happened to him in
Yes.
his life,
I
and
li-
I
I
thought
did
that was
see that.
very important.
Yeah, he
and it was
mentioned
like,
the name Askeladd.
finally, we at least talked about
They're friends.
the trauma.
They're friends. This is helping each other through
Their
it.
friendship is going to carry this whole season.
So
to me.
I don't want to slap the amazing tag on it.
It's
but
an S.
just
This episode's an S.
willy-nilly like you do.
S.
Just throw... slithering
Just
around.
slithering all over the floor. This episode
But-
was an S, but please continue.
This episode, I didn't hate. We got a little action. Got some blood and some teeth and some pain.
Yep.
And, you know, as much as I like plants, I like growing things. I like growing things from seed. I like the wheat. I like watching it grow. You knew it was doomed to be attacked.
Yeah.
It was people. They were coming back for
Yeah.
it. Because how can these slaves do better work than the farm hands? You got to keep the structure in our society. You got to keep everything from crumbling apart. I get all that. I do. Especially in like that time period and like you need that structure. But ultimately, those guys destroying the wheat stole that from the master because it was Einar and
That's right.
Thorfinn doing it for him to buy their freedom. It all went hand in hand. So, and as we learned from the master from the last episode, I don't think he's going to be that vengeful unless the Thorgil's still there. That's a different story. But
And Snake.
and I think that they're going to look to punish Thorfinn and and Einar for attacking the next level up because there has to be some kind of structure, like I said. But I think it's going to come down to like some one-on-one combat with Thorfinn and Thorgil, because Thorgil
very
thinks
well
he's going to know like, yeah,
I've been to war.
Yeah,
I'm
so
a
is this
changed
guy.
man. Yeah,
So is this
little
guy.
do you know.
And he still has it. Like, you think every time you see that tight ponytail, and you know what? I am happy though someone else in anime world can grow a beard like me, poor and weak, like Thorfinn's. But I think that he still has it in him. Like he just dropped back. He does all the jumps and kicks and throws a good punch here and there. And I think if my dreams are going to come true, and Lord, please help it, Thorfinn, that he will fight Thorgil and not kill him, but kind of like make him, hey, you think you're a war hero or veteran or whatever you want to call him, and it's no, this is what real war is, and it's like a little boy just killed you. This is what we need, a little bit of action, because life isn't that great. You are a slave on a farm during like troubling times,
And now we're all wage slaves.
and now duh. But now we're here, and we're like, okay, these people are out to get these two because they're too successful. The old master loves, like, he's like taking them under his wing,
Well, do you know?
teaching them to fish, teaching them to do these things.
Yeah.
And like, okay, well now they're kind of his slaves.
And the saying about when like the best place to build from is when you're empty.
Yeah,
is
I
such
did like that.
That's such a cool way to think about
Yeah.
it, where you feel like you have nothing, and the one thing you had in life for Thorfinn, it was hatred, is robbed from you, and you feel like, what am I doing here? I have nothing now. That's probably the best place to start
That's
building
why
who
when
you
you
actually want to be.
hit rock bottom.
Yeah, and
Nowhere to go up but up.
And I love the fact he eavesdropped and actually contributed to the conversation. This episode
was
had
good.
everything. And did you see the look? For a split second, Thorfinn reverted back to season 1 Thorfinn. Immediately when he punched motherfucker in the face, and the look in his face and his eyes, he was ready to go back to war. And then he immediately snapped out of it.
Because it's not what he wants.
No, it isn't. But that will always be inside of him for the rest of his
yeah.
life. He will be able to activate that when necessary.
It was 11 years as he mathed it down for us.
Yeah.
It was either 10 or 11, and it was a long time.
It's just his known existence.
Yeah,
he
'cause
literally
he's-
did not know
He
anything
was
else.
6 or
Six or
maybe?
7 when it happened. Yeah.
So he's in his teens, maybe early 20s.
he's probably
by
in his
now.
20s now.
But that's the majority of his life was spent killing,
War.
raping, pillaging,
Yes.
all these things.
Which is
and now
why he
he's
told Einar, I don't have a right to be mad. And I feel that.
I
Where-
think he's reflecting on like him and A&R, like he did that to A&R himself.
Yeah.
Likely he could have, but obviously the age
He even
difference
mentioned
isn't there.
that. It's very possible
Yeah.
that I could have been you. I'm glad I met you now. Well, I don't know if Einar said it or Thorfinn said it, but there was a conversation of, I'm glad I know you now and not then.
When A&R was going to kill him in his sleep.
Yeah.
I think that's when it was like coming together as a whole thing. But their relationship is blossoming.
It's the whole season.
I'm now the only bad part about this episode was the nursery time, nap time music. But
Wow.
I know I was going to get him.
God.
But
It was so perfect.
and then the wheat. I did grow fond of the wheat. Because it was winter. I was like, oh no. First thought, is the wheat going to make it?
You're getting your
'Cause
farm
it's
simulator
cold.
mode in?
Yeah,
You're
and
like,
I'm like-
wait a minute, let me start thinking like a farmer real quick.
I'd kill him. I'd go kill those people too. I'm sorry. Blood
Ryan,
for blood, and look at my children.
I don't know what else to tell you other than this was a perfect episode. And
It was good.
I think it accelerated the pace of the season a little bit.
We've been telling time passing by the beards.
Yeah, and the season.
That's like thicker goatees now and stuff like that. And A&R's love life is not going to happen. Likes it. I think he's enjoying it, but it's not going to be like bear any fruit.
The
because
girl he's falling
she's
for,
trapped.
there will be a very emotional payoff by the end of the season for that, I believe.
Thorgil's going to take her.
Something will happen to where it'll be terrible.
I don't think Snake's
and
going to play
tragic.
a role.
Snake will play a positive role in the story.
Correct. I don't think he's going to be, because he's not like the other ones. He's hired hand. basically.
Thorgil is the guy walking around like his dick's 7 feet long.
That's it.
Because he went to war once. Yeah. And Thorfinn's like, listen, I probably did as much as you've done in like one weekend.
And he fought Thorgil.
Yeah.
Like,
and,
I mean-
and beat him.
Right, and that's what I would tell this guy. Be like, hey, you know what? You're cool and big and all, but, have you ever heard of this guy?
We haven't even had like the drop yet that Thorfinn is friends with Canute and was like
Yeah.
on a first name basis with him. What's going to happen when everyone at the farm finds out that Thorfinn has close ties to Canute?
And Canute shows up.
When is Canute going to come
Yep.
and see Thorfinn find him?
Yep.
And we haven't seen Leaf since episode 1.
Well,
right?
at the auction, like the buy.
Yeah, so
the slave
Leaf's
buy,
going to
yeah.
come into the season. I want to know if Thorfinn this season is going to go back and see his mom and his sister and like reconnect with them because they're
forgot
still
he had a
alive.
family.
Yeah, they're alive somewhere. So
Well,
there
we're
are
not sure
so
of
many
that, but-
questions that I have that are going to be answered this season.
You promise me all those are going to be answered?
I can
That was a
promise you
heavy
that some of
promise.
them will.
All right.
Some of them. Leaf will come back in. Canute will come back
I need
in.
a little more Leaf, Canute,
And I think
Thorkill.
Thorfinn's family will come back in. Yeah.
Okay.
His sister and his mom. If his mom didn't die of like some disease or something.
Which
'cause
back then
you died at 30.
25-year-old.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah. That was episode 8 of Vinland Saga Season 2. It's great. This was an S episode. I don't care what he says. This was a fantastic piece of television, and the emotions I went through during this
I think I
episode.
opened up nicely with your reaction. Yes. I
Yeah.
think that was great.
We'll be back next week for episode 9, and then hopefully Ryan's enjoyment of this season will go in this direction. Until then, we'll see you next time.